Hello everybody and welcome to the first Future of the Fortress video of the year. I'm recording this the same day I did that big recap, so if I sound a little hoarse, that's why. Also, if you hate my reading as per usual, please sod off. And if you want to take part in these yourself, you can sign up for the Bay 12 forums, although I hear that it takes forever to get an account right now due to security issues. Anyway, there's a link to the thread below if you would like to read all these yourself. Some of them get quite long and in-depth, so buckle up. The first question comes in from Sue, and they say, "You've said in the past that you intend to update the bug tracker when you have time. Is there any chance of that happening before the commercial release? It is over a decade, ! Out of date now, after all. In a similar vein, is there any chance of updating the forums to HTTPS? HTTP is rather antiquated at this point, and my browser complains every time I open it." I second that last part. Tarn's response is, "Time feels even less available now, but I wanted to do it before the post-release excitement. We'll see what happens, and yeah, regarding Quintist's comment, I'm not sure it'll help with browser complaints in any case. I'm not actually sure if the forum will demand all avatars be HTTPS instead after the change, or if it'll still want HTTP, so all avatars may also vanish as well." Now I'm going to butcher this next username, but the next one comes in from Uthiminanur. I'm butchering that, I apologize. And they say, "The purple miasma certainly gets the point across. Don't go there, it's nasty! ! But I'm wondering if you might consider making it transparent. I never thought it was right that we can't even see what's underneath the stench cloud. Then again, it does add a little bit of fun in a way of potential surprises." And Tarn's response says, "Oh, it's definitely going to be translucent to some degree. We haven't done it a lot of the flows and dragonfire and water and mist, etc. yet. This is for the Steam and premium versions, of course." The next question comes in from Ear, and they say, when it is done, will people be able to switch between graphics and ASCII? This might be important for community games." And Tarn's response is, "Yeah, the saves should be compatible between premium and classic versions, and premium, or classic people with graphics mods installed, in brackets. Also, should be able to switch between them, and possibly on the fly, though I haven't implemented that yet, so it's not 100% settled." I just gotta state, if we could hit like F8 or something and just swap between ASCII and the graphics, that would just be kind of awesome. I don't know if we should expect that, but would be cool. The next question comes in from the legendary Volilol, and they say, "In the coming weeks, it should be more apparent whether pre-premium saves will be transferable to the new versions. That is, having worked on save/mod restructuring, does it seem that the premium release and corresponding classic release will be compatible with old saves? If it comes down to writing some tool that transforms old saves and RAWs into new ones, has this already been done? Is it something that you might revisit later? Or do you expect the community to figure it out, if possible?" And Tarn's response is, "It looks like it would be pretty time-consuming at this point. A lot has changed, more than I was expecting when I started. I'm not sure how much time there will be later for this kind of project. I have the structure of old saves, so it should be of a bit of use to any community project that arises, and maybe we'll be able to get to it." The next question comes in from Fantastic Dwarf, and they say, "With whatever progress or inclination towards tutorialization you're doing for the Steam release, do you think your work there will influence the hastening or later groundwork implementation of the scenario arc?" And Tarn's response is, "Some of it might overlap. If there is any concrete goals, though, the scenarios in the end mostly have to do with Fortress subgroups and the entity rewrite and upgrade, which I'm not touching." The next one is a rapid fire of 3 questions, so I'm just going to get to them right away. And the first one is, well, they're all 3 are from Blue Man Hawk, and their question starts off with, "What's with the weird hard-coded materials like pearl, coral, and filth, and unknown substance?" And Tarn's response is, "We had foreign trade goods, I think from outside of the world map, ? I'm really having trouble remembering. They had nowhere to live in the raws, since the raws are tied to geology or reaction point products. So they just ended up hard-coded forever. There's no reason at all why they couldn't just sit in a little file with some special tags as needed, aside from taking a modest amount of time to the barrier to all things. Their next question is, what does Dwarf Fortress commitment to realism mean for sex-related stuff? And Tarn's response is, don't have any particular plans here. And the last of three is, once Myth and Magic update is done, do you think y'all will focus on smaller things? Examples, fixing bugs, making tweaks, and optimizing things, as the community stays tided over by the update for a while. And Tarn's response on Myth and Magic is, Myth and Magic being done is pretty far off, so I don't think it'll be productive to speculate on the workflow after that. We try to do some fixing of old issues after major releases, but it never ends up being long enough to really satisfy anybody. On the other hand, before Myth and Magic release is done, while it is ongoing, we are hoping to really be in a two-branch system, where some small things might be fixed while we continue to work on features, in some different way than we've been doing to this point. The next question comes from Patrick Lundell, and they say, have you considered making the graphical side of Premium and Classic Division be purely a tile set one, i.e., have the same UI in both versions and modes, and just have the tiles for the game being different? As far as I can see, it would mean less work to make a single UI and less work to maintain a single one. However, it might give a weird impression to have a normal UI paired with the character-based tiles and game, and presumably the tiles and UI representing the in-game things. There may be some contractual issues making the UI elements unavailable for the classic version. And Tarn's response says, you mean the UI portion of the artist-prepared graphics in the classic version as well? I don't think that's in the cards. So many of the buttons have sprites on them, it would just be jarring. And classic also has at least a possibility of still living in the terminal and console-type grid world, though that'd be affected by using a few extra sheets, as previously discussed. I agree, it would save some trouble. The next question comes in from Mobstar, and they say, I may as well ask a thought I had the other day. While thinking about the new style for military patrols, how will notes, as in tile markers, work in the premium version? Will they be using text symbols and abstract symbols, or actual sprites? And Tarn's response was, I have a few placeholder symbols now, which are 32 by 32 sprites drawn by me. So they are right now bad abstract symbols, in quotes. By the end, hopefully, they'll be a better range. The next question comes in from Patrick Lundell, and they say, I failed to see any world tile border indications in the video. Does that mean you can actually have Embarks straddling borders of world tiles? Regardless, as someone who always enables grids whenever possible in games, I suggest that the introduction of an open option to show the world tile and intermediate tile boundaries, at least in a character mode, which doesn't need a grid at all, one tile per tile scale. But I'd still want to know where the world tile boundaries are for the zoomed in mode. If nothing else, a grid would help answering the inevitable question of why half a single biome Embark suddenly freezes over while the other half doesn't for a world tile straddling Embark. And conversely, it can be used deliberately to seek out straddling for various effects. And Tarn's response is, yeah, you can embark anywhere now. Most biome effects don't respect grid boundaries since there's a lot of bleed across from fractal corner seeding through temperature, although temperature has some straight line effect still, I'm assuming. But at least for the placement of the icon on the world map, I suppose it would be informative. The next question comes in from A Curious Cat, and they ask, I got to thinking, in 3407, mining was changed so that mining out a tile of ordinary stone had a 25% chance of producing a loose stone. At the same time, the yield of the make of rock blocks was changed to produce 4 blocks from each stone, instead of 1 block it had previously produced. Why weren't other reactions that use ordinary stone, such as reactions for stone furniture or stone crafts, changed to increase their yield? And Tarn's response was, that was a long time ago, so I'm not sure. Size has never made much sense, though I like 1 table per stone. Crafts are very iffy, though. I think the change was meant to be useful for constructions, though I'm not even sure what state constructions were in back then. The next question comes in from Cripurium, and they say, how will elevation be shown on the new Embark screen? Will it be the same as Classic, but changing the whole map? ? Will the current pathfinding bug be fixed? The one where, if several digging designations one above another, miners will run up and down constantly to dig portions of halls instead of digging one of them and move to each other. And Tarn's response is, there's a brief flash in the video. There's an overlay of symbols you can see covering the whole map. And I'm not sure which bugs will be fixed at first. We certainly can't get all of them. So for this one, I've just kind of taken it all in one giant screenshot, and I'm going to put it up on the screen as you can see right now, rather than me portioning it out into small screens, just because there's just so much of it here, I kind of just wanted to read it. So let's dive in. Quote from Mr. Crabman, and they say, about what you said in the following devlog. Mods store version compatibility information, so that saves should be able to update their mods if authors provide when they release new versions. I've also generally restructured the data into folders so that more of the text files are encompassed and in the object and mod system. And then the question. Do you mean that the mods can store information about compatibility with their own previous versions, or is this version compatibility information referring to the compatibility with different versions of Dwarf Fortress? And Tarn's response is, I was referring to their own versions, but they can also reference versions of other mods, including the vanilla pieces considered as mods. Crabman's second question. Is there more to come for modding and save changes beyond what's been completed and already covered in this devlog? Tarn's response is, nothing specifically, but some more could change, especially as we cross the Steam Workshop threshold. Crabman's third question. Oh, speaking of mod version compatibility, assuming it's about save compatibility with previous mod versions, how would a mod author know if their mod is save compatible? Trying out their own mod updates would probably reveal this, but I have a deeper question, kind of. As far as I know currently, lots of changes, particularly adding objects and basically all entity changes, won't actually work in existing saves because, for instance, new creatures need to be populated at the start of World Gen to actually show up, but won't cause the existing save to break, so someone can update a mod even if it won't get all of the benefits. Whereas some changes will break existing saves. The only one I know of is removing objects and changing body parts. So basically, what kind of mod updates, other than changing body parts or removing object IDs, will break and destabilize a save? If you expect this answer to change due to where modding and raw changes, you may as well wait until it's finalized to answer this. And Tarn's response is, same as they do now. I'm not sure what I can do to help aside from the usual release notes. It's an opt-in part of the info file, so they can also just let the old saves try to load or enforce a new world with every version if they prefer. And the game will try to work it out as best it can, as it does now. I'm not sure modders at this point know better than I do which kind of changes are troublesome. I can't think of any additional save-breaking examples immediately. The idea was just to let authors indicate that a major version points in their own mods. they'd rather have people start a new world than try to keep pulling saves forward if they'd prefer. Or to cut down on ongoing issue reports by allowing them to add a cutoff when something comes up. That's everything for this month's Future of the Fortress. There was a couple more questions in there that were pretty technical, so if you want to read those, you can go read them yourself. The link to the forum post is down in the description. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I do these once a month, these little Q&As that Tarn Adams does, and I read along, and I think that people enjoy these now, so they're going to continue to be a regular thing. If you'd like to support these videos that I do on this YouTube channel and the streams that I do, you can do that over on my Patreon. If you want to support Bay12 Games, you can do that over on bay12games.com/dwarves and click on the little support button. And they have a Patreon as well as direct PayPal, or you can just mail them a check if you feel fancy. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.